They left. She left. He left. They walked away. Maybe slowly, maybe suddenly. And now, you're here. Still standing. Still breathing. But barely. Because they left with their reasons, their explanations, their silence. But you stayed behind with the weight of questions, of memories, of moments that now only echo back in your mind. And no one prepared you for that part. No one warned you how heavy it would feel to keep living in a world that they no longer occupy. People talk a lot about heartbreak, about grief, about letting go. But few talk about what happens after. About that strange in-between space where everyone assumes you've moved on, but you haven't. You're still in the room where the goodbye happened. Still sleeping on the side of the bed that feels colder than it used to. Still hearing their voice in your head. Still waiting for a message that never comes. And if you're honest, there are days you wonder, did they take the best of me with them? You look in the mirror and you feel older, emptier, invisible. You try to pray, but the words feel too fragile. Because what do you say to God when you feel forgotten not only by people, but maybe even by Him? And yet somehow, you're still here. Maybe barely holding on, maybe breathing in pieces, but still showing up. And friend, I want to say something to you that you may not have heard in a while. You matter. Not because of who stayed or who left. Not because of how strong you've been or how broken you feel. You matter because God is still with you. And I know, right now that might not feel true. Because sometimes His presence doesn't shout, it whispers. Sometimes it doesn't fix everything around you. It holds you right in the middle of what's breaking. But please hear this. Just because someone else walked away, doesn't mean God did. Their departure does not define your worth. Their silence does not mean you're forgotten. Their absence does not erase your future. You are still here because grace has not let you go. And maybe, just maybe, this emptiness you feel, it's not abandonment. It's sacred space. Space where healing can begin. Where presence can come. Where God can speak in a way He couldn't when you were busy holding everything and everyone else together. So if you're here tonight, still carrying the echoes of someone who's gone, still aching with questions, still wondering if there's a way forward, you're not alone. And this moment is for you. You stayed behind with the pain, but you haven't been left behind by love. Not God's love. Not ever. Her name was Maria. She was 49, a mother of 3. A woman who had spent most of her life building a home around people who no longer lived in it. Her youngest had just gone off to college. Her middle child had moved across the country. And her husband, the man she had built decades of forever with, had fallen in love with someone else. One morning she found a note on the kitchen table. No big confrontation, no last-minute plea. Just 3 sentences and a signature. That was the day her silence began. Not just in the house, but inside of her. Because how do you talk about a pain you never imagined you'd have to carry alone? Maria kept doing all the things. She went to church. She answered texts with smiley faces. She baked for the neighbors. She said things like, "God is good," because she still believed it, even if her voice trembled when she said it. But in the quiet moments, early in the morning, or late at night, or sitting in her parked car in the driveway, she broke. Not loudly, not with rage, just quietly fell apart, like a person who had given everything, only to be left holding the empty space where love used to live. She told no one how deep the ache went, not even her closest friend. She didn't want pity. She didn't want to be a burden. She just wanted someone, anyone, to notice the vacancy inside her and say, "I see it. I see you." But no one did. Or at least, that's how it felt. And so, Maria started waking up later. She stopped singing during worship. She stopped looking people in the eye, not because she didn't care, but because she didn't want to fall apart in front of anyone. Then one evening, after the dishes, after the texts went unanswered, after the TV had played in the background for hours just to fill the silence, she walked outside. No destination, just walking. The air was cool, and the street was quiet. She stopped beneath an old tree in her neighborhood and whispered, "God, if you're still with me, I need you to say something." But there was no voice, no vision, just wind in the leaves. And that's when it happened. Not a miracle, not a breakthrough, but a realization. She wasn't standing there alone. No one could see it, not even she could explain it. But something in the stillness wrapped around her like a blanket. It didn't speak. It didn't fix anything. It didn't promise her that everything would be okay. But it stayed. It stayed with her. And somehow, that was enough. That night, she didn't cry herself to sleep for the first time in weeks. She didn't wake up dreading the next day. Instead, she got up, made tea, and opened her Bible, not to study, not to check a box, but just to sit with God. As if to say, "You didn't leave, so I won't either." Maria's story didn't end with a reconciliation. Her husband remarried. Her kids remained far away. Her days still looked quiet. But her soul? It no longer felt vacant. Because somewhere in the stillness, God taught her how to live again. Not as someone who was left, but as someone who had been found in the very place where she thought she was most alone. My precious one, I was there. I know, it didn't feel like it. I know the silence made you wonder if I had stepped away too. But I never moved. From the moment they left, from the instant your world felt like it cracked open and you were left standing in the wreckage, I stayed. Not because you begged me to. Not because you earned it with perfect prayers or unshakable faith. I stayed because I love you. Because you are mine. You see, I don't love like they do. I don't grow tired of your need. I don't walk away when you're too quiet, too broken, too exhausted to hold it together. I don't need you to be strong, to stay close. I stay because your heart, aching and open and honest, is where I most long to dwell. You were waiting for me to undo what happened, to bring them back, to rewind the moment everything fell apart. But I wasn't trying to rewrite the past. I was trying to hold you in the present, because in your tears, I saw the part of you that still believes, that still longs for connection, that still hopes, despite it all. And that's where I meet you. Not in your strength, but in your surrender. Not in your success, but in your silence. Every time you sat alone and thought no one saw your pain, I saw. Every night you fell asleep with the ache of what used to be, I was there, watching over you. Every morning you woke up to an empty room, an empty chair, an empty phone. I was sitting in the silence beside you, not fixing the pain, just holding it with you, holding you. You've been asking, where were you when they left? Here's my answer. I was beside you when the words cut deep. I was beside you when the door closed. I was beside you when you didn't even know how to pray anymore. I reached toward you, and I never let go. Even now, even here, in this exact moment, I am here, and I am not going anywhere. You don't have to perform. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to get over it before coming close. I am not looking for someone who has it all together. I am looking for you, just as you are. Let me rebuild what they broke. Let me speak into the part of you that's gone quiet out of fear. Let me be the presence that fills the space they abandoned. Because I am not afraid of the dark. not ashamed of your sadness, not burdened by your need. You think the pain means you're not healing, but I say it means your heart is still alive, still tender, still open. And I can work with that. I delight in that. So no, you are not too far gone. You are not too much. You are not forgotten. You are seen. You are loved. You are held. And when they left, you stayed. But what you didn't know is that I stayed too. I never stopped writing your story. I'm still holding the pen. I'm still whispering love into your nights. I'm still here, and I always will be. Maybe you thought this was the end of your story, that what they took when they walked away couldn't be replaced, that the silence left in their absence would swallow you whole. But what if it's not the end? What if it's the beginning of something quieter, something slower, something sacred that doesn't ask you to pretend you're okay, but instead invites you to discover that healing isn't loud, it's faithful? Maybe the empty spaces they left weren't meant to stay empty. Maybe they're the very places I've been waiting to fill with something deeper than what you lost. Something they could never give you, even if they had stayed. Because my love is not a substitute. It's not a distraction. It's not a patch on a broken life. It's the foundation. And now, as painful as this season has been, you're standing on new ground. Holy ground. Not because everything is okay, but because I am here. And I am rebuilding you, not around what you lost, but upon what cannot be taken. My presence, my love, and your identity is mine. You've looked in the mirror and seen someone diminished by loss, but I see someone being made new. Not in spite of the pain, but through it. I see a soul being gently expanded, room by room, to hold peace that won't leave when people do. To carry joy that doesn't disappear with disappointment. To walk through the world unshaken. Not because nothing hurts, but because you know who walks beside you when it does. What they walked away from, I stayed for. What they misunderstood, I treasure. What they rejected, I redeem. And now I want to invite you to look forward again. Not through the lens of what's missing, but through the eyes of what's possible when you walk hand in hand with me. You may not feel ready. That's okay. Healing rarely feels like confidence. It feels like courage showing up through trembling hands. But each step you take in the direction of me is a step into wholeness. And no, the past can't be undone. The goodbyes can't be erased. But you are not stuck in the pain. You are not trapped in the moment they left. You are moving, slowly, faithfully, toward restoration. Not because you pushed through, but because I carried you. So breathe again, even if it's shaky. Hope again, even if it feels foolish. Trust again, even if your heart still remembers the break. Because I am not finished with your story. I'm just beginning the chapter where healing starts to look like strength, and presence starts to look like peace. And what you thought would be your breaking may, in time, become the place where you rise. So now, here you are. Not with all the answers, not with everything put back together, but with an open heart and a quiet question rising from somewhere deeper than before. What if being left wasn't the end, but the beginning of learning to be loved in a way that never leaves? What if the person who walked away did not close the door on your worth, but cleared space for you to finally see yourself through my eyes? Can you believe, even just a little, that what broke you is not stronger than the one who's rebuilding you? Can you dare to think that your tears haven't been wasted, that your nights haven't been invisible to me? Because they haven't. I've been there in everyone. And now I ask you, will you let me stay? Not just as your comfort, but as your home. Will you let my presence be the steady place where your soul can rest? Where you no longer have to prove anything, fix everything, or pretend you're not still healing? If so, then let this moment be sacred. Let this be where the turning begins. Not back to who you were before, but forward into who you were always meant to become. And if you don't have the words, it's okay. I'll give you mine. Just whisper, God, I'm still hurting, but I want to heal with you. I've been left behind by people, but I don't want to keep living as if I've also been left by you. I give you my ache, my silence, my fear. Sit with me in it. And as I stay, teach me how to believe again. Believe in your love, in your nearness, in a future I can't see yet. Don't let me go. Stay with me. That's all. That's enough. You don't have to know what happens next. You just have to know that you are not alone in the after. You stayed behind with the pain, but he stayed with you. And now, you get to walk forward, not just as someone who survived what broke, but as someone who's learning to live again, with the one who never left.